Hello, everybody. I am your host, Venomous Pie, and welcome to another episode of Bronimaniacs Discuss. I have with me here today our Fluttershy, which is Violet Bloom.
Ow. My ears are bleeding.
I think my ears are now broken now,
That should
Sugar
be-
Cube.
Someone should make that sound into an alarm clock.
What? I can't hear you.
I don't need my ears broken.
Speaking of
What?
speaking of alarm clock, someone should make Scootaloo scream and Pale into Glide a alarm clock.
Oh gosh, stop it.
Okay.
That would be amazing. I would so buy that if someone
Whoa,
ever
whoa,
made
whoa,
that.
whoa.
Alright,
Okay.
we have
Okay.
we have and our Neon has arrived. Say hello, Neon.
Sorry.
Well, look at the bright side, Neon. At least you gathered up the popcorn.
Yeah, about that.
We also have Jedi Padawan Danielle.
Hi, everyone.
We have Shuffwit.
Insert obvious Overwatch reference here.
Not surprised. And we have David Stapleforth.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And the episode we'll be talking about today will be
You
Did I?
you forgot to introduce me.
Son of a gun. Oh.
Wow.
Professionals, everybody.
What are friends for?
We are so professional.
Yep, here's a Kanata, everybody.
Okay, I think we can all agree that my story was the best out of the three of us in the episode.
Debatable, but we'll get to that. Because the episode we'll be talking about here this afternoon will be Campfire Tales. And I think most of us would agree it'll be an upgrade from last week. So, up first shall be... How about you, Neon?
I would actually want to go one of the last ones, actually. Not the very last, but not one of the first, though.
Okay. So,
Understandable.
alright, hold on. How about Shuffwet?
What I like about this episode, I think actually I will go with the whole world building and expanding the legend of Equestria that we had. Because come on, so far we've got maybe like a legend of how the Equestria was founded, legends of two sisters, in between the plots of the villains, and maybe also heartwarming tale. But so far, most of the legend we got that actual legend, because most of the time, like the other things like Lightning Moon and other villains were just a plot exposition. So pretty much all the time we had like before any legends, they were like pretty much the heartwarming. Now we actually have the some different legends, not related to heartwarming, not related to how a quest was founded. Just a regular legend of the heroes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotta admit, one of the definite highlights of the episode was its world.
What I also like about the legends is how they were written, because as you probably know, this episode is tied with the Legends of Magic comic series.
Yep.
I like that it's tied with this series. However, it's not mandatory to actually know this comic. In fact, those stories are basically the prequels to the stories from the comic book. So you have to. So you watch the episode, but you don't have to read the comic. Comic is more like a expansion that you want to know. If you want to know more,
Yeah, I like
nothing
that.
of value would be lost.
Mm.
I like shows that do that.
Yeah, but that will also tie to my negative, which I will talk about later. But for now, let's go with. Let's break the trend. David,
Oh, okay. We can break the trend. I don't mind.
Well, because I usually pick some of the older members, so maybe it's time to get the.
All right. Well,
Just like
thanks.
to know that I'm not forgetting about the newer members.
Okay. Okay. My positive is I like your positive, Sharpwit. It was pretty cool. But my positive is I like the whole bonding of the sisters again. You know, I found it really nice that they brought us an episode with that bonding issue because I don't know, we don't seem to have that in season 7 going straight on.
But
So it was kind of nice to see the sisters, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo bonding over another adventure, even though they were stuck in a cave. But I just like the whole bonding thing. That was my positive.
well, the last time that
Well-
these three had a pairing, with their each other's sisters, but okay, let's forget about that.
Yeah, let's not mention that episode.
It's not
And
good.
the episode about bonding was done much better. There's however one problem. This episode was not the bonding was not the focus of the episode. It's more the focus were actually those legends.
Well, yeah.
Alright, so who do you pass it to, David?
I think I'm gonna pass it on to. Did Kanata go yet?
No.
No, he hasn't.
Then let's see what Kanata has to say.
Okay, my positive for this episode is Rarity story as a whole. The setting, the characters, the message, the fight.
The obvious
message-
Overwatch reference.
Yeah, that was also nice to see. The message of finding beauty and everything. This Rarity Stories was just perfect for me. I loved everything about Rarity Story. It also made it better of how this. I'm big into the Asian Oriental like settings. I wasn't expecting that at all when it came to Rarity Stories or even MLP to even tackle those kinds of settings. I shouldn't be surprised since they kind of like did like an Indian like setting like a season or two ago, so I shouldn't be surprised. But it was really awesome to see that. I also loved how the fight scenes was in that story. It wasn't just a typical magic duel like you would normally see. Like they kind of like have those animals like the magic spirit animals fighting it out. That was awesome.
It was also symbolic too.
That was it was very beautiful. The scenery.
Oh yeah. I will have to say, out of all the legends that were shown, the one with Misty Mane is my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Same.
I would actually love to see like an entire series just based on Rarity Stories as a whole. I really think it can hold up as a series as a whole. I just loved everything about it. The characters, the world, the battles, the message, the main character, everything.
That's good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a kind of a mini series, you mean?
Yeah.
You know, similar to what Equestria Girls is doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda like that.
exactly.
Alright, and that's all for my positives. I will pass it off to Violet. Be right back.
Well, how fitting, because my positive is actually connected with Konata's.
Huh.
Wow.
What a coinky dink.
I could have wondered about that.
Well, first off, if it wasn't obvious enough for everyone, I'm an Asian myself, and I am in Asia right now. Plus, my country is multicultural, so it is really obvious for me to pick up the Chinese reference going on in Rarity Story.
That'll be nice.
I mean, like what Sharplet said that one time, the media will combine Chinese and Japanese culture as one. So it's really difficult for people to really tell the difference unless they can see the details.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie, I do struggle with that.
Well, if I may add, some Japanese have some influences in their culture from Chinese, from what I know.
Yeah, that's
Good
true.
point. Good point.
But back to what I was saying about the positive. What Konata didn't mention about the whole about the whole Asian culture, the Chinese culture in Rarity Story, is that what the show is doing is basically taking the Asian version of well-known methodology. Like for example, the unicorn design.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I gotta admit, the way they designed the unicorns in that portion was interesting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was. I
I
thought it was really good.
yeah, I think I even saw it somewhere in another form of media, but I can't put my finger on it right now.
If I may add, I have a message for all the artists who are drawing unicorns with curved hair, unicorn, curved horn.
With a curved horn, you mean?
Yeah, with the curved horn, they are drawing. There are artists like that. It's now canon.
Yes.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's true. The horns were curved in that portion of the episode.
Yep.
Oh.
hmm And the reason why the horns are curved is because they are based on the Chinese version of the unicorns called the Chirin.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I just remembered where I saw one of this design as well. It's a little bit offsetting now to saying this, but it was actually in the Monster Hunter game. One of the main monsters, which was a target to hunt, had actually a unicorn dragon-like design like this as well, with that curved horn. And if I remember correctly, the original developer of the game said that he actually based the design on this folklore. Now I know where I found it.
That is interesting. That's very interesting.
Speaking of which, when we tackle this right now, could it be that this unicorn design in maybe in this set folklore has something to do with the association with thunder,
Good
or is
point.
this just a coincidence in the game I mentioned?
actually, actually, for that one, you need to know a little bit more details on the Chirin yokai.
Ah, okay. Just wanted to ask. Was curious a little bit.
Anyways, anything else you got, Violet?
No, I'm good, and I pass it off to Boop Daniel.
Yeah.
You're good, Daniel.
Alright. Well, first thing I say is they really had a swarm of the century in this episode, didn't they?
Oh God.
Oh
Yes,
gosh.
yes. Very.
But yeah, anyway, my positive for the episode was probably the Flash Magnus story. I found that one to be pretty cool. Well, like,
It definitely has its cool moments.
and also we see Ember's dad back in his younger days, apparently.
Debatably, but that's another story.
I'm pretty sure that was him, because, hey, how long can a dragon live for, exactly?
Which also makes me concerned about one thing.
And that would be.
If that was Ember's dad, is it possible that the other dragon was Ember's mom?
Awkward.
Oh my God, you're right.
Oh my!
There's a cannon for you.
Huh.
But yeah, it's possible that those could have been her parents back in their younger days. Because
So
we don't
that
know
would
exactly
mean
how
that
long
Ember
dragons
wasn't
can
born
live
yet.
for in Equestria. So, for all we know, they could live for like over thousands of years. So anything is possible.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, and the writing staff knows that mythology can go a lot of ways.
It sure can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, but yeah, the Flash Magnus story was pretty awesome. I really enjoyed it. Like just seeing the adventure and showing that he was willing to sacrifice his own life to save his friends. I found that to be really an inspiring I found that to be really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, like I said, that one did have its cool moments.
Mhm. So yeah, that was my positive.
Alright, ready to pass it off to?
Who hasn't gone?
Either Neon and myself.
Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, Venom.
Alright, going to me. Okay, well, my main positive Kanata already took, but, I, okay, I'm just gonna get the common praise out of the way. I do love the world building.
hmm
Like, okay, each of the legends are, well, they're different level of quality, in my opinion, but they still provide some interesting insight on the world of Equestria. It's just great world building in general. I love it how
Mm-hmm.
it does have a tie. Is the tie into the Legend of Magic comic series kind of distracting? Yes, it can. A little bit is a bit distracting, but I don't think the comics are necessary to for this kind of story. I don't think the comics are necessary. It's more of an expansion than anything. So that's a welcome plus. Because you know how a lot of pieces of media tend to be when they try to tie into another form of media, like for example a TV show is trying to tie into a comic. That could be too distracting, or one becomes a necessity, and it kind of fabricates the story they're trying to tell.
I will talk
Yeah,
about
that
this
is true.
during. If I may, I will talk about this during my negatives, actually.
Ha! As long as this format is better than any DLC we have in current video gaming, then I'm okay with that.
Yep, yeah, basically. That's a fair point, yeah, fair point. Um, so yeah, I really got nothing much to say. I love the world building. I like each of the legends, even though each of those stories have the hits and misses, which I'll get to later. But yeah, I really love the world building and everything. I love all the legends in this episode. I thought they were very interesting. So that being said, I believe Neon is the only one left. So have at it, bud.
Yep, seems like I'm the last one. Well, oh shoot, you actually took one of my best points there, then, with the world building. That's my
Oh.
job.
Oh,
Nah, just kidding. I have another good point which I really liked about the episode. And that was actually the whole stories and the animation of those legends itself.
Oh,
To be
yeah.
honest, that's actually what I'm actually missing a bit for MOP. Just that little bit of action scenes, so to speak. Or maybe more action-oriented animation style as well.
Nice. Yeah.
And
Like the fire surfing.
the fire surfing, or just or the animation with the magic duel in Rarity Story. Stuff like that.
Mhm.
Something which is not completely slice of life, but doesn't have to be road threatening or something.
Exactly.
yeah.
That's actually that little thing that I was actually missing for a long time in those episodes. Even though we had some pretty good episodes in this season, hands down, I can't say anything against that. But that was the direction I'm wishing they would do a little bit more often.
Mhm.
Not over the top, but like a little adventure now and then.
Mm.
And that's what I really welcomed in this episode.
They're probably saving all the good adventures for the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is actually a pretty good point.
Still, when was it last time when we actually had some epic action scene? Oh no, wait, that was in Royal Problem. Oops.
Okay, that's true. Royal Problem, that was actually the closest to it, but as a real adventure, like, that was actually pretty far. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, but yeah, right, because that was a dream.
What about the to win it back again? Does that count?
Mm, Okay, but then
No,
even
not exactly, because there
That
was
was
like
like
a typical combat scenario or
that
something
was
like that.
a journey.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Yeah, more like that.
Fair enough.
Exactly. I think the only closest which would get to that would be the season 5 finale. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yep. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, if you would stretch, maybe also Magic Duel.
Oh yeah, Magic Duel. It has magic in the title. Like duel. Oh,
It's
duel.
time for a
Okay.
duel.
No magic. No magic in this
Well,
episode.
to be fair, back in the day, we're still experimenting. Back in the days in season 3, kinda. They couldn't do as much as they can now.
That's
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
I'm not saying against it. I'm just saying it's kind of funny to see how rare those moments actually were.
Yeah, to be fair, MLP was mainly designed as a slice of life story. It was Lauren and Faust who more
I
adventures.
know.
That's true.
But still.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Also, it's kind of funny that it's actually come back to that one episode that made me a brony. God damn it. I swear, this episode is following me into my grave, and if it's keep going like that.
Well, just tell it to stop.
interesting choice.
What can I say except you're welcome? Says the
Hey,
episode.
watch out, Choppy. I had some Japanese sword training at the Gamescom. don't try with me here.
Anyways, anything else for your positives, or do you want to move on to the negatives?
Well, for the positive, I'm actually through. For the negative, I know it sounds a little bit strange, but I think the whole scenario with the bugs was a little bit unnecessary.
I was gonna expand upon that, but yeah. I was gonna say, am I the only one that found the gliders kind of unnecessary?
I mean, okay, it was an introduction, a little bit more of the animals within Equestria, but I don't know.
They could as well go with the parasprites.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They could have gone with the pest. They could have even gone with the star spiders. What the heck happened to those?
Yeah.
Good
Where'd they
point.
go? What happened to the star spiders?
Although, to be fair, as far as I understood, star spiders actually only live in cave-like locations, so it wouldn't make sense if they would appear when they are in the cave.
Yeah.
So,
Let's put it like that. I kind of find it like a little bit of an misplaced opportunity, so to speak.
it was. All it is just a segue to the meat of the material.
Yeah.
It's more of a
Also, that is possibly something which many artists kind of find a little bit strange as well. How the hell did their wounds heal after one screen trick session? I mean, have you looked? I mean, look at Rainbow before when she was getting the campfire, and then one screen translation later, everything is okay.
Well, yeah.
And you just mentioned my negative.
and
Oops.
and you know my answer to that?
Magic.
No,
Deus Ex Machina.
no. Cartoon logic.
Yeah, it's like just logic. It's like you got one messed up rainbow, and then the next scene she's fine.
Exactly.
Like I
My
said,
face is all screwed up. Oh, I'm fine now.
like I said, cartoon logic.
Like Pinkie Pie falls off a cliff, and then she's okay.
That's Pinky. That's actually the
That's Pinkie
explanation.
Pie. We all know that.
Would that be Pinkie Pie or Wile E. Coyote?
I did not
Where's the
mention Wile E.
difference?
Coyote, but yeah.
But anyways, you got anything else, Neon?
Nope, that would be all. Although one thing for you guys in the chat, I added a little Wikipedia post about that one once I was talking about with the reference.
Okay,
If you're interested.
I could definitely see a resemblance there from the picture.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I guess I'm going next then.
hmm
Okay, so remember when I said how each of the legends have their hits and misses?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, okay. If the woman missed me is my absolute favorite, the story that Applejack tells is probably my least favorite. I don't think it was bad. It was more just okay. And one of the main reasons is, well, the question: Has every has do any of you think that the ending to that legend ended on a Deus Ex Machina?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
to be honest, I'm not actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, that story is actually pretty much related to the northern historic line.
Hmm.
I'm
Oh.
sorry, but how come it could be related to some Nordic story? Like he was digging the trench and suddenly Deus Ex Machina Mambo Jumbo, he's turning from Hiccup to Hulk. I'm not buying that.
And you know the thing that they didn't even mention is what happened. Like, what did he hit?
I wouldn't call
The
I
point.
would Sharpen. I wouldn't say it was Hiccup turned into Hulk. I would say more Hiccup turned to Thor.
Maybe that's actually closer, considering. Oh wait.
You kind of get quiet there, Sharpie.
The reason I thought Thor would be closer because am I the only one that thinks that Applejack's legend is kind of similar to Norse mythology?
Well, I did saw the reference, if you mean that.
Mhm.
Well, that was the point to make it this a Nordic mythology related.
Yep, that's true.
Just like the Mistbane is the Asian mythology, and the Flash Magnus is a Greek mythology.
Yep. Even though the
Yeah.
show has done that plenty of times before.
And
And I
just like
think
that, Josh Scotter is fangasming somewhere out there.
I was actually about to say that I'm pretty sure both Will and Josh will eat their words from that one commentary in their collab.
Not sure about Will, but I think not sure about Will, but I think Josh is too busy with Death Note.
Ah, yeah, he posted on something there. Yeah, I remember.
I think Josh Scorcher is still recovering from a warrior problem.
Or Perfect
Hmm.
Hair.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's about all for me. The fact that Applejack's legend is my least favorite because it kind of ended on a Deus Ex Machina. And
I think
I don't.
I think if I may add that, I think the main problem with Applejack's legend is that from all the three mythology backgrounds, I think the Northern is actually the least known for the most people.
That's true.
Hmm.
Well, I don't think it's that. I just think the ending just felt forced.
It did.
But
Yeah.
still, people mostly know the Norse mythology through Marvel comic, and that's all.
Yeah, but what else?
But
I don't know the actual Norse mythology.
true.
Yeah, okay, but let's go for the Asian one. Well, how
Asian.
many references do you know for Asian right from the get-go?
Me. Anyways, to get back on topic here, I will give Applejack's story this. It did leave a funny segue towards the end.
True.
With Apple Bloom's Queen.
That was funny. That was funny.
That was funny. Anyways, that'll be it for me. So, Daniel?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, mine's more of a nitpick, really, on Applejack's story. Like how the character in her story. I forget his name. What's his name?
Rockhoof.
Rohoof? Rohoof? What?
Rockhoof.
Raku.
Rohoof?
Sorry.
So, I seriously am not. I can't tell if I'm pronouncing it right. But yeah, anyway.
Oh,
What? Guys, seriously, I'm having a hard time.
Wait.
Yeah.
It's rock hoof.
Yeah, rock hoof.
Rock hoof, okay.
Not blow hoof. It's rock hoof.
Rock hoof, okay. Sorry.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Neon is losing it over here.
I'm sorry.
I think someone is broken.
Not yet, not yet.
Hashtag broken Neon, everyone. Get
Not
that
yet.
trending.
Not yet.
Oh, are you sure? We're
And
starting
I'm
to see
sure.
the early stages. We're starting to see the early stages of it.
anyways,
Yeah, anyway, like, him suddenly gaining that strength and stuff, like, without it being explained, that was kind of that's just my nitpick. Like, they could have at least explained a bit better, like, did he hit, like, a magic stone or something, or what suddenly transformed him into a stronger version of himself? Like, I
The
could.
Force.
I just mentioned that too.
But yeah, I just found that part kind of confusing, and that's basically my only nitpick is just like how that happened and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah, that's my only nitpick, and yeah.
Violet?
Oh boy, this is a tough one actually. But I have to say that my negative. Well, I have to say it's gotta be It's gotta be the flighters designs. Like, it's so lazy.
The designs of what now?
Mm.
The flighters designs, they look so lazy.
Oh yeah. Ooh,
I
flying.
mean, seriously, they look
flying
like spiders
spiders.
with wings. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's something you really don't want to come across at night.
No,
No.
definitely not.
Well, I've said that many times, but once again, this time in public, the old-time fans of the X-Files will probably find this bugs as a reference to this show.
Yeah.
Well, we had already one reference with the bugbear. Maybe there is a reference with those things too.
Fair point.
That's good.
Because that's one of pretty much the only episode I remember from the X-Files about the swarm of the green glowing bugs that biting and webbing people.
Ugh.
Isn't that kind of resembles this one? Minus the biting and webbing the people?
Yeah, it does actually.
It does.
Well, in that case, the ponies.
Yeah. I felt bad for them. The ponies getting bitten and stuff.
Yeah, me too. Well, anyways, anything else, Violet?
Nah, I'm good.
Alright, Nada?
Oh, my negative was going to be the how Applejack's story, ending of Applejack's story fell forth, but it feels like that's already been brought up and talked about, so I don't want to repeat myself with that if other people kept on bringing it up and it was addressed already. So I'm going to go with a tiny nitpick, and this is not like a deal breaker for me. In fact, this is probably not even much of a negative at all. But it was kind of weird how they were in the cave, yet they acted like there was no that they couldn't go on, yet they could have like went in deeper this whole time. Now this ain't a problem, considering that Scootaloo is afraid of caves, so you can easily make the argument that let's not go too deep into the cave. Scootaloo is scared enough already, and that it would been it. In that they didn't know that they could have gone deeper because of plot convenience. So that's not a deal breaker for me at all. But I just found it weird that, just all of a sudden we could have gone in deeper this entire time, yet it was never addressed or anything.
Well, they were, if I may interrupt, they were waiting until the fighters fly away, so was they didn't thought about the I will say the other. They thought that going deeper into cave would be pointless.
Fair point.
True. Like I said, I mean, it's not a big problem. Plus, you can also once again, you can make the argument that they may not have wanted to go in deeper because Guru was already scared enough already going into the cave. You can imagine how it would be going in deeper immediately.
Thought about it though.
The stretching Rainbow Dash face this whole episode.
Like I said, I mean that's just a tiny nitpick. That's not even much of a negative, but that's the only other negative that I have outside of the whole Applejack ending story. The whole ending of Applejack's story fell forth, which we already brought up and addressed and talked about enough. So I didn't want to keep on bringing that up. So I had to come up with some negative,
So
But
you
that's
basically come up with the filler for your section.
Like I said, I mean, I'm a nitpicker in general, so it's like I try to come up with any negatives, big or small, or even ones that doesn't even matter much at the end of the day. That's why I am at the end of the day. I'm a nitpicker.
It's all good fun.
Yeah.
So you're a British ninja of our group?
I didn't know he was the only nitpicker in the whole entire body analysis, but. I mean, maybe I'm a mix of voice of reason and British ninja. I don't know, but anyway, that's all I have to say for my negatives.
All right, David.
Okay, my negative. I did not actually enjoy the Rainbow Dash's Legend Campfire tale.
Really?
I kind of felt it rushed in a way. When I was watching it, it was like, okay, we gotta go see these dragons in these clouds. They come out really fast. They're there, and then all of a sudden, there's this big, huge. How do we get rid of them? And it just felt kind of rushed. There was no. I mean, there was dialogue in the story, but I just felt it was really fast, and I was just like, could you just slow down a little bit?
Honestly, that could have been said about all of them. It wasn't just Rainbow Dashes. I think all of them kind of felt like that.
Yeah, but then again, I just clicked in my mind. I said 22 minutes. I understand, so
Yeah. There's nothing to be.
I would say Rockhoof was more rushed.
Yeah. It was.
But
Yeah, but-
overall, they were well done.
To be honest, guys, I think Rarities felt actually in the right pacing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe.
But
so.
anyways, that's my turn. So
Right.
Violet went.
Sharp is the
Sharp went.
last one.
Sharpway is the
Yep.
last one. All right.
Okay,
Thanks for
first
the
of all,
shopping.
I want to thank you guys for the fact that you addressed the issue with the Rockhoof ending with that Deus Ex Machina. Because thanks to that, I can address the even bigger issue, which itself more like a potential backlash of that episode. You see,
That is.
let me tell you the story of you probably heard that once in a moment with Dr. Wolf. Well, with the Golden Fox, about how he wanted to know the stories of a certain character, say Chrysalis, and there were people who were saying, well, just look at the comic, that's put it in the comic. Well, like, he was like, no, I don't want to have this in the comic, I want this to have in the show. Because here's the thing, it's good to... There are universes that are necessary when you need to expand it via novels, comic books, stuff like Star Wars, because you can't tell much in the 3 or 6 movies, depending on when they start with the expanded universe. So that's work. But with the MOP, which is long-running series, even for Friendship is Magic, you have, if you want, you have plenty of time to expand some stories in the episode. So, having necessity to look through the comics and saying that they are necessary would increase for me pointless. That's why, not to mention there are long list of reasons why comics are not canon, but for some people are canon, even though. So here's my point. Now there, Hasbro would say, "Oh, they will point out that the Legend of Magic and the From Shadows arc, and they will say these comics are canon." You see, you know what's the problem? People who are still want to believe, who are still pointing to the comics to if you stories will only hear that comics are canon. So basically, if you would give them this few issues still not canon, these people will probably still think that
what?
the Empire, even why they are not canon.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't too late.
Yeah, but to be honest, isn't
Possibility,
that in that
but
case? Yeah, but now that I think about it, isn't it that case a little bit far-stretched? I mean, none of the legends are actually proven to be real in the episode.
Good
And as
point.
far as I know, since I don't got the comics which are resembled to those legends, if all three of them are actually made in a comic, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
I think it's only the one with Rockroof, right?
Yeah, Raccoon was in the comics. Miss May, which is the Rarity Legend, that was also in the comic.
all of them were in the comic. This is the Legend of Magic.
Yep, all of them were.
Yeah, but but those were reflections of the past, right?
I believe
Still, these stories are canon, so basically, some people will already believe that all the comics must be canon. And don't get me wrong, I wish to have some stories, some neat stories like, say, I'm ready to be canon. But here's the thing. I want them to be canon, but actually happen in the show. Of course, tweaking them a little bit instead of the shoehorn the whole story, because that will not fit in the current state of the MOP and say Luna. But not the way that if you want to know the story, like one day in the show they will say, "Oh, really? And you remember when that one time when you were the Nightmare Pony?" And some people will be confused. Wait, what? Not now?
Yeah.
I like the comic. I want them to some of the stories to be canon, but to actually happen the show, not to be canon by
Yeah.
you have to look through the comic.
Gotcha.
But my negative but in a nutshell, my negativity is the potential backlash of how some pointing out the comic. If you want to expand the knowledge, would you think that all of them must be canon by that?
It's a stretch, but it's not
Yeah, it's strange, but knowing
not
how
possible.
some people are reacting, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
True. But anyways,
The real question for me is how many of that kind of people we would have.
anyway, we have a very late arrival. He was there during a pre-show, but he decided to show up back up. Crimson. Say hello, buddy. Looks like the portal is a bit disconnected right now.
Gyros has taken over him.
I am a robot.
That wasn't what I meant.
Well then.
Yeah,
I think
Crimson
Crimson is having some connection
technical
issues.
problems. Yeah. So, anyways, we might as well move on to our ratings. So, Short, what would you give the episode?
I would say 4 out of 5. It's not something very spectacular, but it's very actually pleasing episode for me.
Oh, alright. That sounds good to me. As soon as I can, do this. Okay, David?
Okay, my rating is the same actually, 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
The episode was well done. And the legends were really, beautiful and stuff. But yeah, the Rainbow Dash was kind of rushed.
Alright. Kanata?
I'm gonna give this episode a 4 out of 5. This was a better episode than I thought it was gonna be. Going in, I thought the stories was gonna be kind of like filler and meaningless to the whole thing, kind of like just like a filler episode as a whole. But to find out that all three stories actually, connect to Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash, and how it kind of like affect how they view the world and everything, and how it was very nice to see. The world building was also very nice to see. It was. They brought in some new characters and new stories, which, for the most part, were really good. The only problem I really have with it was just how Applejack's ending, felt a little forced. And Rainbow Dashes, although it was good, it was a little bit on the meh side in comparison to Rarity. So it's not bad, but I couldn't get into it as much. So outside of those two negatives, this was a much better episode. Than I thought it was going to be, and I hopefully get more episodes like this as time goes on. But I'm not expecting that. I mean, I would like to see that, but I'm not expecting it. But yeah,
can I add something to your?
What?
Technically, this episode is a filler because that's basically meant to tie with the episode, but you don't feel that this is a filler episode in a way, because that's how enjoyable it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was just really nice to see that these stories were not just meaningless. That it actually served some purpose for how these characters live their lives and everything. Because
and how they are viewing the world.
Yeah, it could have easily just been filler stories of just stories that just meant nothing at the end of the day. So just to see them, talk about these stories and how these stories affected them to where they live by these stories and how these characters act and portray and everything was really nice to see.
My fear for this episode was to how they are going to tie this with the stories from the comic, and for my joy, they tied it very well.
They really did. Violet had to leave early, but she gave the episode a 4.5.
Alright, that's good.
So, Daniel?
First up, I gotta ask, shadow puppets, how do they work?
I question myself.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. That was weird.
Rarity has hooves. How do the shadows work?
And did you also notice that it was Twilight
Yeah.
Yeah, I also noticed that.
That was a nice tie-in.
in her ballerina outfit from A World Problem?
Yeah,
But still, that shadows. That's actually my job with my fingers.
Yeah.
We also,
And even I can do that.
But yeah, I give the episode a 5 out of 5.
5. Alright, so. And Crimson, are you able to solve the connection problem?
Yep, I think I got it.
Alright.
Sounds good to me.
Good evening.
Yep, yeah, late arrival.
Yeah, sorry.
Later than me.
better late than never.
Yep, true. Do you want to give your rating real quick, Crimson? Or your positive?
Well, okay. For my one positive, I think I somehow got my negative in, actually.
Oh, cool.
Well then.
For my positive, I was kind of intrigued on AJ's story about Vikings actually in Equestria, not just in our human world. There's also Vikings in their world as well, surprisingly.
Ah, okay.
Ah.
Yeah, I thought back about the history about that one, and that's what got me intrigued.
Okay, and negative?
I'm gonna be clear for this one.
Okay.
Rainbow Dash, why did your story have to...
I think I know what
As
you're
much
talking
as I
about.
want... As much as I wanted to, like, believe that story, I think, how does Rainbow Dash know that kind of story? I'm guessing her parents may have told her about it.
Most likely.
Well, given the fact that it could be a legend that was passed all the way around Cloudsdale, given that the main inspiration for that city is ancient Greece.
Yep.
These stories are like fairy tales that their parents grew up telling them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's my negative right there. And for how I feel about how this episode was, same as my brother Daniel over there, 5 out of 5.
5. Okay, as for me, I'm gonna give this episode I'd say about a 4.5. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a fun time hearing the stories and seeing the animation take place, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this episode. Were there hits and misses in each of the legends? Yeah. Can it be distracting if you know about the comics? It can be. But those are my minor nitpicks, at least to me. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, top to bottom.
We all did.
Yep.
Dan?
Well, for me, I think I'm going with a 4.5 out of 5 as well. The episode was pretty well put together, and even as you guys said as well, even though it was somewhat of a filler episode, it didn't feel like that, and that was something that is actually pretty good from the development of all the episodes so far, that they have their meaning, not just as a purpose, so to speak.
And before we get to our group rating, we do have 2 ratings from people who are absent today. Looney gave the episode a 3 out of 5. And and Yoshi actually gave it a 4 out of 5.
Oof! I thought this day has finally come when it was me who gave the episode the lowest rating.
Nope.
Not this time,
Even
brother.
even if it was the lowest rating, a 4 out of 5 for it to be its lowest rating actually shows that the episode really standed up.
Yep.
Yeah, the episode.
I agree with that.
The episode stood out, you know.
So overall, the group rating for Campfire Tales is a 4 out of 5.
And I'm gonna say
Nice.
this: that was the best sisterly moment in that episode.
What was?
Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, including with their little sisters. Now that was a touching moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And we have to have more moments like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially after certain episodes from previous season.
It felt like the way that this episode ended, that we might get more episodes like this. The way that, you know, that I don't remember which of them said that they can't wait to do this next year. So it's kind of like foreshadowing that this could happen again within the next season or 2. Which, if it does, I'll be really happy.
I'd be happy if they do this again.
Same.
I'm in for it.
Well,
I would be too, if they would first go with the zebra episode.
I want to see Rarity jump in the water some more.
oh yeah, that's it. So, anyways, that'll be all for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Tune in next time where we take a look at an episode that would be interesting to see. To change a changeling.
Oh boy.
AKA how not to do the edgy OC.
Well, we know already one person who will be all over this episode.
Well, depending on what will the episode show.
I don't know how to feel about this episode.
I guess we'll have to find out when the time comes. And I think that's a good note to end on. So, we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.